My fiance said my future earnings were her retirement plan, so I put 90% of my assets in an irrevocable trust and watched her world collapse. As a logistics architect for a major shipping firm, I think 3 steps ahead and anticipate problems before they happen. This trait helped me build a comfortable life through smart investments. For 2 years, I thought I was planning a future with my fiance Jessica, a vibrant, funny woman who lit up rooms. Her mother Patricia was always there, advising Jessica and complimenting my taste, ambition, and earning potential. We got engaged 6 months ago with wedding planning handled by Jessica and Patricia, while I approved escalating costs. Everything cracked last Wednesday at a restaurant celebrating a new contract. Jessica was swirling her wine, calling me brilliant, then said with a light laugh, "I am so glad I don't have to worry about the future. I don't need a job. Your future earnings are my retirement plan." She said it like a cute joke, but her eyes held a bright, hard, possessive glint identical to Patricia's expression. My entire thought process rebooted as things clicked into place. She'd quit her marketing job 3 months ago to focus on the wedding. Patricia constantly asked about my investment portfolio at dinners. They had a constant, "We deserve this" attitude with expensive vendors. I didn't argue, just smiled tightly and began planning my response. The next morning, I met with a financial advisor specializing in asset protection who explained irrevocable trusts. By Friday, I'd transferred 90% of my premarital assets into one with my sister as beneficiary. I suggested we get a prenup since our finances were merging. After calling Patricia, Jessica reluctantly agreed, thinking she could negotiate it favorably. At the meeting with both lawyers, their attorney Gary aggressively demanded a 50-50 split of all assets. My lawyer Ms. Richardson smiled thinly and explained that 90% of my net worth was no longer legally mine, belonging to an irrevocable trust that could never be considered marital property. Jessica's face went from confused to pale to blotchy red. "You gave your money away," she whispered. When I explained I moved it for security, Patricia snapped, "Whose security? You moved it so she couldn't have it." Jessica started hyperventilating, asking about the house and ring. I explained the ring was hers, I'd pay for the agreed wedding, and we could save for a house with future income. "My income," she squeaked. "I don't have an income." Pure hatred filled Jessica's eyes. "Undo it," she hissed. When I explained it was irrevocable, she shouted they wouldn't sign the prenup and stormed out. The fallout brought storms of texts alternating between rage and tearful pleading. They tried involving my family, with Patricia calling my mom about financial abuse, but after I explained the retirement plan comment, Mom said that certainly painted a picture. 2 weeks later, I came home to find Jessica in my apartment. My grandfather's whittling collection was gone from the mantelpiece, intricate wooden birds he'd carved that were my most prized possessions. When I asked where they were, Jessica's expression hardened. "They're safe. They're a symbol of the future you promised me. I'll give them back when you dissolve that trust." She was holding my grandfather's memory hostage. I told her to get out or I'd call police for theft. She left threatening lawyer action. The next day I changed locks and received a demand letter claiming the birds were antique hand-carved avian sculptures valued at $50,000. They'd appraised something deeply personal and slapped a price tag on it. My lawyer sent back a response including a police report number for theft. After a week of silence, a friend called saying Patricia was telling people I'd cleared out accounts and planned to abandon Jessica at the altar with wedding debt. They were trying to ruin my reputation. I sent Jessica a formal email breaking the engagement. Wedding vendors then called because Jessica and Patricia had told them I was handling final payments after upgrading to platinum packages without telling me. My lawyer sent letters to every vendor explaining I was no longer engaged, wasn't a signatory on contracts, and outstanding balances were Patricia's responsibility since she'd signed everything. The vendors went after Patricia and Jessica instead. Jessica's father called frantically about collection letters and lawsuits, explaining Patricia had used their home equity line for deposits and they were facing a lien. Last week I received a package containing my grandfather's birds unharmed, plus a cashier's check for the full ring value. They'd surrendered because losing their house was a consequence even their entitlement couldn't overcome. I heard Patricia sold her luxury SUV. Jessica was working 2 retail jobs, and they'd rented out rooms while losing friendships from humiliation. Looking at the wooden birds on my mantelpiece, they're reminders that some problems can't be solved with love or patience, only logistics. Sometimes the smartest move isn't fighting but building a fortress so impenetrable they defeat themselves trying to get in. I lost 2 years and a future I thought I wanted, but protected my life's work and grandfather's memory.